Hey everybody, welcome to Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. I am John Clark. Eagles Seahawks, big NFC matchup. The Birds have lost 4 straight to Seattle, and one of the keys is going to be third down. The Eagles were not so good against the Patriots, just 3 for 13 on third down. They need to improve upon that. So let's break that down in our tape study presented by Chickies and Pete's. Here's our own Fran Duffy with Ike Reese.
All right, well, let's take a look here at third down, because obviously this was a big stat in this game. Eagles just 3 for 13 against the Patriots on the most important down in football. They came into the matchup as one of the best third down offenses in the NFL. What happened on third down in this game?
Well, I think we'll start off with the fact you're going up against one of the best third down defenses in the NFL and one of the best coaches all time from that side of the football that can give you different looks, confuse you before the snap, and then give you something after the snap of the ball. So there's some missed opportunities from the offensive side, from the standpoint of execution and the quarterback recognizing things quick, but there's also some credit that deserves to be placed with the Patriots that are a very good defensive team.
No question. And one of the things I like to say, watching this game, it's never as good as you think. It's never as bad as you think. And I think when you look at this team on third down in this game, a couple of things really stood out, and I thought you nailed it. When really this first play speaks to the last thing you talked about, where, look, it's 3rd and 4. The Eagles are trying to get the first down marker. All they need to do is get to the 31-yard line. All the thought process is here, let's run a little RPO, bang, bang play for us. We know we've got options here for Carson Wentz, but they get fooled here because they think it's going to be man coverage, where you're going to get a little 2-man route concept. You got J.J. Arcega-Whiteside running the slant, Zach Ertz running to the flat. If he's running away from this defender, Zach Ertz should be open, but it's not man coverage, it's zone.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Bill Belichick could do to you. He'll give you one look, expecting you to check to something else, and then at the snap of the ball, look at these guys back here deep playing a cover 2 defense, and you're right, he's sitting there. Carson wants to come here because he thinks it's man defense, but you got Stephon Gilmore with outside leverage here. By the time he comes back to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, you got this guy in your face. He makes you pull the ball down a little bit. But here's the thing that's going on with this RPO. That's the passing part of the equation. You got this part of the equation in here where these guys think it could possibly be a run play as well. They're run blocking because they don't know if you're running the ball or throwing it at this point. They expect the ball to be out by now. This becomes a penalty. You have to go back. Now it's 3rd and long. And then the very next play, Carson misses Mac Hollins on a play where he's wide open there. So there's an instance there where they may have picked up the first down, but because the play wasn't executed on time and it needs to be, the offensive line gets a penalty there. You have to do the third down over again, and then you miss the opportunity on the next play.
Now, football is a game of inches, and that's one of those plays where you say, all right, they get 3rd and 4, they convert, they keep it going. Instead, it's a penalty. You bring it back 3rd and 9, and now you're going to punt. And that's really, when you talk about teams that don't have success on third down in any one game, so often you can say, all right, well, what did they do on 1st and 2nd down? Because typically, when you're not good on third down, it's because you're facing lots of 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, instead of 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. Yeah. This is a great example. It's 2nd and 6 here for this Eagles offense. And, all they're running is a quick little 2-man route concept at the top where you've got Nelson Aguilar in motion. He's going to work vertically on a little bit of a slot fade. Dallas Goedert's going to win on an in-breaking route. Carson Wentz doesn't like what he sees. I think Dallas Goedert's a little bit slow getting out of this break. You could say, okay, Carson probably could have pulled the trigger here. He's a little bit slow to do so. On the meantime, protection doesn't hold up well. Miles Sanders gets beat for a sack from a little twist up front from the backer. So all 3 areas here, the pass catchers, the quarterback, the protection, all kind of break down and results in a sack.
Yeah, and this is how it typically unfolds. It's never really one guy that you can blame for a play not working, especially on offense. You're going to need all 11 guys doing their job. You got Nelson in the slot here, man-to-man coverage, so you're getting the coverage that you want. You even got the DB here playing off. And what you want is to run a little interference there. Just need Dallas to be a tad bit quicker with giving Carson a clear window path to throw the ball to. And then Carson, you got to let that thing go, right? You got to trust your playmakers, let the ball go. But he's seeing color in front of him, doesn't want to turn the ball over, holds on to it, and that results in a negative play. And again, when you're talking about a team that was one of the best in the league on third down, a lot of that was a result of being decisive, right? Making a decision, believing in it, and then letting your guys make plays for you. In this game, again, I want to give the Patriots a little bit of credit because this is a defense that can show you different looks. I witnessed this in Super Bowl 39, Fran, so I tell you, it came out in a 3-4 defense and they hadn't run a 3-4 all year long. So that's what Bill Belichick could do. And I think in this game, there was some clouded mirrors for the offense, particularly at the quarterback position, that made you hold on to the ball a little bit longer. Something you can learn from, though, and get better from.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local tri-state Toyota dealers, a proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it. All right, Mike Quick joining us now, and the Eagles are 5-5. They've got the Seahawks, big game. Then they have the easiest schedule over the last 5 games. So, big picture, where do you see this team going at this point?
They still have an opportunity to get into the playoffs, and that's what it's all about, getting to the postseason. If they can win the Seattle game, they're in a great position. Even if they lose the Seattle game, I think they're still in a really good position because the 5 games, remaining games on their schedule, I think they can run the table there.
All right, obviously you want to see the receivers step up a little bit more.
Yeah.
The receivers as a group have the fewest receiving yards in the NFL compared to any team. But how about what the tight ends are able to do? The last couple weeks, they're over 10 catches combined, over 100 yards combined. What is it they're able to do with the tight ends the last couple weeks?
They are a huge part of this offense and the production of this offense. You have to be able to lean on those guys. The 2 tight ends, they're so versatile. They create many mismatches for this football team, so you have to use them, John. When you're able to do this, you get Nelson Aguilar going across the field, taking defenders. You get Miles Sanders out here, taking defenders, and then you release this big guy and his ability to run routes, catch the football, and you get him wide open. It's almost a little bit of a trail after he's banging into the linebacker. It's almost delaying him and making the throw an easier throw for Carson. You get him out there and he catches the football easily, easy throw and catch into the end zone for a touchdown. Tight ends are a huge part of the success of this offense going forward. You have to use those guys.
Enemy Intel is brought to you by Rothman Orthopedics at Jefferson Health, the official orthopedics and healthcare partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
The Eagles' offense will face a Seahawks defense that's really looked a little bit different over their last 2-3 games. It's a defense that through much of the year has struggled a bit. They've given up a lot of big plays in the passing game, and they had not been rushing the quarterback with any consistency. So over the last number of weeks, we've seen some changes. We've seen them blitz a little more. We've seen them show multiple fronts, particularly on 3rd down, out of their sub packages. We've seen them play more man-to-man coverage. So this is a different looking defense than it was earlier in the season. And there's a great example of that against the Bucs from a few weeks ago. The first thing you should notice here is where Jadeveon Clowney is. Jadeveon Clowney is standing up behind the defensive line, basically in a stacked linebacker position. We call this a joker position. Another player to take note of is Michael Kendricks. He's on the right side of your screen, on the ball, on the line of scrimmage. So what you're going to get on this given play, with Clowney standing up as a joker and Kendricks on the edge, both of them will rush the quarterback. The running back, who's offset to the side of Kendricks, he's in a little bit of a bind. You can tell he's not certain who to pick up. But he does the right thing. He's just a beat late. He comes inside to pick up Clowney. But because he's a tad late, Clowney forces Jameis Winston to have a subtle slide to Winston's left. And what that does is he brings him toward Kendricks, who's able to push the offensive tackle into Winston and create a fumble. This play is very reflective and representative of what the Seahawks have been doing over recent weeks. And they're also coming off a win against the 49ers 2 weeks ago before their bye, in which Jadeveon Clowney had arguably his best game as a pro. So this will be a challenge for the Eagles offense.
All right, guys, how do you protect Carson Wentz better? He was pressured on 46% of his dropbacks. He got hit 12 times, sacked 5 times. What do you do about Jadeveon Clowney in that Seahawks front?
You remember Khalil Mack?
Yeah.
So Chicago Bears, this is kind of like the blueprint that they have. They've seen those beasts of pass rushes in the past, and they've been able to handle them. It's just a matter of mixing things up. The same thing that teams will do against the Eagles with the Brandon Graham and guys like that who get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Use the screen game. Use those deceptive plays where you get these guys moving one way when the play is going the other way. All of these types of things, that's how you slow him down. But you're right. First, you've got to locate him. You got to know where he is and make sure that you account for him wherever he is.
All right, well, we've seen the Eagles, the 2 games prior to the Patriots game, depend on the run, control the clock, and run the ball. And they started off running the ball well. They lose Lane Johnson, didn't run the ball as well, and Doug did not run it as much in the second half. Can they get back to that against this Seahawks defense? Jason Kelce, he said he didn't have a good game against the Patriots. Is this going to be a better matchup for him?
I think it is. I think they'll run the ball against this team. When I look at other teams, look at the San Francisco game that they played a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. The 49ers ran the ball really well against them, so they use a fullback, and that really helps. But when you insert Dallas Goedert in that same position, when they're able to go zone one side and cut off the backside of that zone, I think there are many opportunities for them to run the ball against his defense. Bobby Wagner, a big factor in that. Their linebacker, he's one of the best in the league. But you get a hat on him, you run the ball against this defense.
Yeah, I think we should be able to have success running the football. Now, obviously, that's going to depend on the personnel that's available to us to play this Sunday against Seattle.
Sure.
So if the personnel is available, if we get some of those guys back healthy, there's no doubt in my mind this offensive line will have the ability to establish the line of scrimmage and allow this run game to be effective.
Yeah, I think the offensive line can, in the trenches, I think they can win against any team in the National Football League. It all begins there.
All right, Ike Reese, I know Jim Johnson used to tell you 17 points or less. Give it up on defense. Eagles the last 3 weeks have given up 17 points or less. They are playing really well right now. What are you seeing with Jim Schwartz and what he's doing? He's able to mix it up a little bit too, right?
Yeah. Another philosophy of my former legendary coach Jim Johnson was also get off the field on third down. And that's what the Eagles are starting to do. And they're starting to mix up some of their coverages that they're doing on third down. And it's because, like we talked over the last few weeks, John, they're starting to get healthy. You got a full complement of players in the secondary, which allows Jim Schwartz to be able to do some different things. So let's watch here, right, against New England. You're going to see them on third down. The first thing I'm noticing is how these guys are playing these receivers. This is man-to-man coverage. You got single high. But here's what's different about this defense. Now that Jim has a full complement of players that he can go out there with, they're doing a little bracket coverage here on arguably the best slot receiver in football in Julian Edelman. So I like the fact that there's inside leverage there from the defender. There's outside leverage there from that defender. They know where Tom Brady likes to go on third down. They did this an awful lot this past week, getting up, challenging these receivers, and forcing Tom Brady to make throws where he's a little bit more uncomfortable with, which is down the field. That's unusual to say about the greatest quarterback of all time, but this year, they recognize that he struggled getting the ball down the field. If you take away the stuff underneath like they did this past week, then he was going to have problems completing passes. That's what you saw Sunday, that bracket coverage against Julian Edelman, the bump and run coverage from the other cornerbacks, that forced Tom Brady to go somewhere he was uncomfortable with the ball.
Ike, you are so right. The Eagles secondary over the last number of weeks has really played pretty well, particularly with Jalen Mills and Ronald Darby back, and Avonte Maddox, a nice slot cornerback as well. But they're in for a big challenge this week against the Seahawks. The Seahawks are a very interesting offense to study in the pass game. 303 of Russell Wilson's dropbacks have been out of the shotgun, only 51 from under center. But it's under center in the shot play pass game where they are really difficult to defend. And when they get between the 40-yard lines, you have to be prepared for the shot play. And that's an alert. The Eagles best be alert to that. And there are a couple of things you have to notice immediately as alerts. You have to notice the reduced splits of the wide receivers, as you see here against the Los Angeles Rams. You're going to see Tyler Lockett up top and DK Metcalf down below. And what you're going to get here is you're going to get Lockett with just a ridiculous release off the line of scrimmage because he must challenge the safety to the backside so that Metcalf on his deep over route has room on that side of the field. And this is just a great example of the speed that DK Metcalf brings to the table. He just runs by the secondary, gets on top of them, and Wilson, protected in the pocket, Max Pro on a shot play, lays it out. And Russell Wilson is one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL. Again, this is a philosophy thing with the Seahawks offense. They get Wilson under center, they go play action. They're actually going to protect here with 8. They double team both edges so that Wilson is totally secure in the pocket. And what do they run? A staple concept, double crossers. Lockett coming from the right, Metcalf coming from the left. This one is against man-to-man coverage. And Metcalf, again, he just runs away from coverage. Wilson lays it out. And DK Metcalf, he is tough to deal with when he's running vertically or crossing the field. So the key point here, when they get in between the 40s and Russell Wilson is under center, the alert must go off for the Eagles defense. There will be a big play likely to come, and the Eagles must be able to prevent those in this matchup.
All right, fellas, you got to watch out for that Seahawks run game. 6th best in the NFL. They're averaging close to 150 rushing yards the last 3 games. But it's not just the running game with the running backs. It's Russell Wilson and what he can do. Play action, all those things. How tough is this going to be?
Well, they've got an outstanding running back in Chris Carson, but you're right. It's not just Carson. It's the guy who's probably leading the NFL as an MVP candidate right now, and Russell Wilson. He does so many things well. Not just his ability to throw the ball, and he can do that, and he's got great targets around him. But when he decides to tuck it and run, he's a problem.
Yeah, this is a throwback team on the offensive side of the football. They want to run the ball. Pete Carroll, he believes in that. Defensive-minded coach, wants to play ball control. They are going to run that football first and foremost, and then Russell Wilson, the special player that he is, they can turn him loose anytime they choose. It's just their philosophy of trying to impose their will on you with their running game and then get you focused on that and then allow Russell Wilson to be the special player that he is. And man, when he drops back, you're going to have to be in coverage a long time, and your defensive linemen had better be in shape because no one extends plays like Russell Wilson does.
Yeah, that rotation on the D-line may come into even bigger play on Sunday. Now, how about the Eagles' pass defense? They're giving up only 170 yards through the air the last 3 games on average. So we saw Tom Brady try to get the ball out quick. That doesn't seem to be what Russell Wilson wants to do, right? He wants to create.
Yeah, that's not their offense as far as getting the ball out quick. And Russell Wilson doesn't mind taking deep shots. He's very smart. It'll also work against him at times because he'll take some negative plays. He'll take a sack or 2 just to try to extend plays. But in coverage, you had better be disciplined and plaster your guy, meaning stick to your man, because Russell Wilson is trying to wait and buy time for someone to get open.
So he's got big DK Metcalf. And he's going to get the ball downfield to him. They're going to take some shot plays with him. But when he starts to run around, I think it's Tyler Lockett that he always finds. This guy, he has that ability to return kicks. So in space, it's hard to keep up with him. You talk about plastering to your guy. This is a guy that you have to plaster to because when he starts to move, when Russell starts to move, oftentimes it's going to be Tyler Lockett on the end of those plays.
Don't forget about Josh Gordon now with his 2nd game. By the way, it's about time the Eagles beat the Seahawks here in Philly. Ike Reese couldn't do it. It's been 30 years since the Eagles have beaten the Seahawks here in Philly. Know who was on that team that won that game?
I probably know someone that was on that team.
Yeah, 1989, Mike Quick. You know how many yards you had in that game to beat the Seahawks?
I have no idea.
No idea. Not a lot? A lot?
I have no idea.
$140 and a touchdown.
Oh, okay.
Well,
That's how you win.
I wouldn't have brought it up if it was bad.
So listen, that's the formula.
It's tough.
You get one of these receivers to go over 100 yards, the Eagles win the football game.
They don't have Mike Quick, though.
I know that.
And great job of you bringing up the worst game of my NFL career, my debut, 38-0, Seattle.
That was
1998.
Yeah, sorry about that. And then there was 42-0, I remember it.
I wasn't here for that.
Okay, I didn't put that down. Mike Quick, 30 years ago. Hopefully it's coming back around again. All right, we laid out the game plan to finally beat the Seahawks. You got to try to contain Russell Wilson. Watch out for Jadeveon Clowney. One thing to watch out for as well, the Seahawks have fumbled 11 times. They've lost 11 fumbles. Only the Giants have lost more in the NFL. So the Eagles hopefully can get a turnover. Thanks for watching Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. If you want more X's and O's talk, check out our Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local tri-state Toyota dealers, a proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.